Man here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing. We are finally here, ladies and gentlemen. Upcoming this weekend, Triple G Gennady Golovkin versus Saul Canelo Alvarez. Oh my goodness, man. Triple G, the middleweight sensation, going up against Canelo Alvarez, the cash cow of boxing, man. The implications of this fight, I mean, I cannot state it, so I can't overstate it, man. The implications for this fight is huge. Is huge. I mean, we've been waiting so long for this, man. This is the mountaintop of boxing. Just don't get no better than this. Some calling it a 50-50 fight. We see a lot of the experts picking Canelo. A lot of people are looking at the boxing skills and everything that he can do inside the ring, as opposed to Gennady Golovkin, who a lot of people seemingly have the impression that Floyd Mayweather left on him, and that's he straight up and down, no special effects. Some people just wonder, outside of power, what is it that Gennady Golovkin does well? And I think that couldn't be more further from the truth. Let's get into this, man. Let's start with Gennady Golovkin, man. The pros of Gennady Golovkin, we all know, without a doubt, he has power. We're talking game-changing power. This man hits like a mule kicks, man. You know what I'm saying? The dude is just unbelievable. He's a powerful, powerful fighter at the middleweight division. This is a man who has basically got every major title at middleweight except the WBO title, which is held by Billy Joe Saunders. I'm going to be watching him too, man, in that fight he got upcoming with Willie Monroe. But Billy Joe Saunders has the last remaining piece before Gennady Golovkin could become totally undisputed. And prior to them finalizing this particular fight, he was attempting to get that fight with Billy Joe Saunders, but Oscar De La Hoya, the promoter of this fight, stepped in and said, yo, Golovkin, if you attempt to get that Billy Joe Saunders fight, you can forget about trying to fight Canelo. We just ain't risking it. You can look bad, you can get defeated, you can get injured. There's a lot of reasons, man, and we don't want you fighting that fight. We don't care what you're talking about, undisputed. Make a decision. Do you want to be undisputed, or do you want to come and fight the cash cow in Canelo Alvarez? Well, we see that Gennady Golovkin made the decision to go and face Canelo Alvarez and get the bag, because if he beats Canelo, that does major things for his legacy. On top of that, Billy Joe Saunders' fight should still be available, especially if he gets through Willie Monroe. Now, Gennady Golovkin has already defeated Willie Monroe, so if Willie Monroe wins that title, I don't know how, honestly, is Willie Monroe going to be running towards Gennady Golovkin? I mean, yeah, they fought in the past, but he lost. And he lost pretty wide by a pretty decent margin. You know what I'm saying? So even though he put a lot of leather on Golovkin in that fight. But anyway, man, Golovkin has good power, hell of a good power. He has a hell of a chin. He can just take a lot of leather on the face. We seen Kell Brook. We seen Daniel Jacobs. We seen Willie Monroe, amongst other fighters, lay a lot of leather on Gennady Golovkin, man. And his head movement sometimes can become minimal. We use that David Lemieux fight as the example, like, hey, Gennady Golovkin could work behind the jab and he can move, you know. That was a beautiful fight he fought in that David Lemieux fight, but it's always far and in between when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. He'll fight a fight like that, then turn around the next 2-3 fights and get tagged up. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of interesting, but you know he has that skill in him, because David Lemieux is a high-level fighter, and he fought that fight beautifully. I wonder, does he come into this fight fighting in that manner? Gennady Golovkin is relentless, man. The dude just keeps coming. He cuts off the ring very well. That's probably his best attribute. The dude know how to stalk you like nobody's business, man. He stalks you worse than a baby mother that you've been 6 months behind on child support with, bro. I mean, like, the dude just keeps on coming. You can throw bombs, cannons, whatever. The man has never been stopped. The man has never been down. You know what I'm saying? The man got a good set of whiskers on him, Joe. And it's funny because he got this youthful looking, young looking ass face. But yeah, still the dude can take a shitload of punches, man. Thick skin, man. Gennady Golovkin will come into this fight with the experience of fighting bigger men more consistently, you know, and that's very important. Though we've seen Canelo Alvarez come in and fight the bigger man in Julio Cesar Chavez, I mean, that's far and in between. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a consistent thing for Canelo Alvarez. He was fighting a lot of 54-pounders, as in your Liam Smiths, as in your Angulos and your Kirklands, and you know what I'm saying? Even in shit, he was even fighting welterweights and Amir Khan, you know what I mean? But you got Gennady Golovkin, who's been constantly cleaning out the 160-pound division, and these men rehydrate to much bigger weights, ladies and gentlemen. We seen him fight in his last fight against Daniel Jacobs, and it was a mysterious weight. The dude came in, he didn't want to take the IBF same day weigh-in the next day, you know what I mean, because the IBF title was on the line. And according to Daniel Jacobs, and I've said this, he said via his social media, that night he came in about 175 for Gennady Golovkin, but he came in much bigger than the 160 contracted weight. And Gennady Golovkin's, a lot of his opponents have came in much bigger than the weight, and so he's doing it much more consistently. He knows exactly what it takes to take down bigger men. He's felt the punches of bigger men more consistently, so his punch resistance could be leap years better than Canelo. You know what I mean? That's just a good thing that Gennady Golovkin has going for him in this fight over Canelo, who's most is going to be said to, he's going to be coming into this fight huge. We see the pre-fight photos, ladies and gentlemen. The dude look like the fucking Hulk. He's Canelo Hulk right now, you know what I mean? But it's going to be interesting because the IBF title was on the line in this fight. And so, of course, there's going to be a same-day weigh-in, just like it was in the Daniel Jacobs fight. And Canelo can't be rehydrating more than 10 pounds over the weight. But my thing is, look, if Daniel Jacobs, who's a lesser star than Canelo Alvarez, can come in the next day and not do the weigh-in, you know what I mean, then what the hell you think Canelo going to do? If he wants to come in at whatever weight, you know, he's going to come in the next day at whatever weight that he wants to come in. I don't know if the IBF keeps their title involved in this fight or not. But that's a whole different thing. But Canelo's going to do what the fuck Canelo's going to do. That's what happens when you're the cash cow of boxing. This is what I be trying to say to the AJ fans. Take notes. When you the cash cow in boxing, you can bend the rules to however you want. So I'm not going in there right now. I'm not going to go there right now. But anyway, Gennady Golovkin's cons, man. The cons, the things that he does bad and it's going to be detriment, in my opinion, to him in this fight. And that is he gets hit, man. He gets touched too much. Canelo is not the fighter to be in there bullshitting with and letting him touch you too much and walking into a lot of his punches, walking through his front door, because Canelo will unleash combinations on you. Canelo does have much more power than a lot of the fighters that Gennady Golovkin has faced, a la your Willie Monroes and your Kell Brooks, you know what I'm saying? And they touched him, and a lot of the fans say, hey, man, it's Gennady Golovkin. When he knows he has an opponent in front of him with lesser power that cannot hurt him, then yeah, he lets him hit him a little bit. But you see, when he feel like he want to fight, he goes like he did in the Lemieux fight. I hear that consistently, man. But, you know, I'm going to tell you, Canelo is not the one to be bullshitting with, Joe. He go in there and gets touched up like he did in a lot of his previous fights. It's going to be a early night for Gennady Golovkin. I don't care how tough you are. There's no way. Not consistently like he's taken against other opponents, man. He relies only on his power so much. And this leads to the fact why a lot of fighters, Floyd Mayweather in particular, stated that, Gennady Golovkin straight up and down, no special effects. A lot of fighters may even feel like they can get in there and hang with Golovkin because they feel as though he's straight up and down, no special effects. Once again, I think that's further from the truth, but yet and still, a lot of these dudes feel like they can run with him because he just mainly relies 85 to 90% on his power. Well, no, I'll say 60%, and then the rest on his ability to take punches. That ain't always good. And at this level, against this guy here, man, I'm telling you, you're going to have to mix it up with him. You're going to have to put some skill into this fight, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But he relies a lot on his power, and he feel like he can walk a lot of fighters down. He feel like he can just constantly, once he gets hit by an opponent, he feel like, okay, I can take these punches. I'm just going to keep coming through the front door. Sometimes an accumulation of punches, especially later on in age, the way Gennady Golovkin is, can be bad, man. So he better watch that shit, yo. And last but not least, the con going into this fight for Gennady Golovkin is his recent opposition. I stated then, it wasn't smart, I don't think, either, for him to try to take Billy Joe Saunders and then turn around and try to take Canelo Alvarez. Like, he was taking succession of fights, too fast. And then he was taking high-level opponents that they were putting leather on him, Joe. And I thought that's the reason he didn't look nearly as polished in the Daniel Jacobs fight, is because he was taking such rapid fights and he was taking high-level opponents, in my opinion. So he got touched up a lot in fights, and I thought the Kell Brook fight took more out of him than fans suggest. I mean, we seen my main man Brook get his fucking eye broken, but yet and still, yo, I think Gennady Golovkin took it's something. A lot came out of him in that fight with Brook, because Brook put a lot of leather on him in them 5 rounds, man. Shit, man, the uppercut heard around the world. There was a lot of combination, and Brook was putting everything he had into those punches. May not been enough to stop Gennady Golovkin, and I'm interested to see how that fight would have went if it would have went 1 or 2 more rounds. But I'm saying, man, like, yo, he was eating a lot of leather in that fight, and he ate a lot of leather with Daniel Jacobs also, man. But the recent opposition, man, and the age combination of Gennady Golovkin can, you know, it can be hurting Gennady Golovkin. We don't know what fight Father Time is going to kick in, what fight he may become shot and taking a lot of punches like he been taking. I'm telling y'all, man, I mean, it's just it can hurt him. Canelo has been taking light touches. Canelo has been going in there with the Amir Khans, with the Liam Smiths, with the Miguel Cottos, who can't, you know, crack like he used to once crack. You know, he's been going in there with them level of punches. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was a crash dummy, you know what I mean? So, like, he ain't been taking major damage, and he's young, you know, and he's looking the strongest possibly than we've ever seen him. So the recent opposition could have put a lot of wear and tear on Gennady Golovkin, but we see Canelo has not been going through that same amount of wear and tear. Let's talk about Canelo, man. Canelo Alvarez, man. What are the cons of Canelo? I mean, the pros, I'm sorry, of Canelo Alvarez. What does this dude got going for him? First and foremost, what comes to mind, combination punching. Combination punching from Canelo Alvarez has always been the thing that he's just gotten better and better and better. And given, in my opinion, his hand speed is even gotten a bit better and better. Him putting that with them combinations, yo, that's what he does. That's his best attribute to me right now. Like, yo, when he gets up on you and pop, 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 and them things are coming with zip, man. Them things are coming with power. Yo, Canelo, for a big guy, his size, throws combinations very, very well, man. Canelo, his body work can be very good. He throws a monster uppercut and a monster hook to the body, man. Like, Gennady Golovkin, if Canelo is smart, he's going to try to attempt to go a lot downstairs on Gennady Golovkin in this fight, because he has to bring that punch resistance down, man. And on top of that, he has to bring that stamina rate of Gennady Golovkin down also. Mix that with his age, man. Do what you got to do. I think Gennady Golovkin is going to come in a bit bigger for this fight. You know, I think there were photos, even though I didn't play into it, that he looked a little softer than normally before this fight, you know, being so close to the fight. I just think that's all about he's going to look to be a little bigger in this fight, and because he knows Canelo is going to be much bigger, and he see that he could not stop Daniel Jacobs, who came in much bigger. And Daniel Jacobs, in my opinion, didn't put that size on for power. He put it on for punch resistance. You know what I mean? So to take a lot of the shots of Gennady Golovkin, though he still went down. You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting, man. But the body work of Canelo Alvarez, man, is beautiful. He needs to try to attempt to go a lot downstairs in this fight, take something out of Gennady Golovkin. But when he's successful in doing it, man, he does a lot of damage to his opponents downstairs in the body. The upper body movement of Canelo Alvarez is also phenomenal. He moves very, very well at the waist, and his head movement has gotten much better ever since the Mayweather fight. I think that's one of the lessons that he learned in the Mayweather fight, was head movement has to get a bit better, because, you know, Floyd was just like almost at points standing right there in front of the man, and the man couldn't hit him. And whenever the roles were reversed and Floyd went on his offense, he was touching Canelo a lot, man. So especially as he got tired. So but the upper body movement and the head movement since that fight has gotten much, much more better for Canelo Alvarez. That's one of the things good about Canelo, going through these fights and not taking the top competition, the Charlos, those fighters who would have put a lot of damage on Canelo. That's one of the good things about it, man. He's remained more fresher and injury free possibly than a lot of fighters, man, because he ain't just been going in there and going through a lot of bloody wars. You know what I mean? The Cotto fight, even though it was a longer fight and it seemed to be a much more competitive fight, it still wasn't a wear and tear fight, in my opinion, on Canelo Alvarez, man. He probably had more wear and tear in training than he did in the actual fight, man. But yo, that's one of the things that Canelo he's learned a lot in, you know, since the Mayweather fight, upper body movement and head movement, man. quickness of Canelo. I think his punches got a lot of zip, man, especially when his stamina rate is high, man, earlier on in fights. Like his body work and his punches upstairs, man, they just got a lot of zip, a lot of fucking crack on him too, Joe. I love the way Canelo punches. He punches like a bruiser, but he's definitely a boxer puncher, man. I just love the way he punches, Joe. On top of that, he has decent power as well. I don't think it's nearly as strong as Gennady Golovkin. I don't think he hits nearly as hard as Gennady Golovkin, but he does have good power. And with the accumulation of Canelo punches on Golovkin, I think he has the ability to stop Golovkin. I mean, no doubt about it. And he also has foot movement. One more thing that's gotten better since the Mayweather fight. Things that he's learned and he had to use in the Erislandy Lara fight as well as the Miguel Cotto fight. And that's one of the also attributes that has gotten much better. And I think these are the things that he added to his style. And that's why he's out doing interviews saying that, hey, man, the Mexican style is this. And the Mexican style is just not some flat-footed robot swinging punches in front of you no more. It's evolving in his opinion. So I think these are the things that he added to his style. And now he feels as though the Mexican style could be something much more better. You know what I mean? It's like a Bruce Lee type thing. Real talk. So that's all to Canelo Alvarez, man. But to the cons of Canelo Alvarez, stamina, man. Stamina being the number one question mark on Canelo. Yeah, like I said before, it's like an up and down roller coaster when it comes to Canelo's stamina. Some fights it looks good. Some fights it doesn't look so good. It makes you wonder he couldn't stop Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. mainly from throwing a lot of punches on him, but he couldn't stop Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And that's no detriment to Canelo by far. You don't have to stop opponents, but I'm just saying he couldn't stop it, and maybe because a lot of zip started to come off his punches towards the end of the fight, but I don't know, man. When you seen him in the Mayweather fight, the stamina rate was an issue. When you seen him in the Trout fight, it was an issue. But then when you seen him in the Lara fight, it looked much, much more better. Then when you seen him in the Angulo fight, it was like questionable a little bit sometimes. And then, I don't know, you seen him in the Liam Smith fight, it looked good. You seen him in it's an up and down thing, you know what I mean? So the stamina rate is the number one thing for Canelo, because when his stamina comes down and he's into recovery mode, he is just a weak freaking puppy, man. Like, he gets touched a lot, man. Sometimes he give you that sad looking face like, yo, them punches are hurting, you know what I mean? Like, I'm being honest, yo. Like, when Floyd was touching him and his stamina rate was gone, like he had to try to conserve some punches, man. It was just, it was a beautiful fight to watch. But Canelo was just looking like, I want to swing so bad, but I just can't swing. I can't already hit him. Then on top of that, my stamina is low. I can't swing on this, you know what I mean? And when his stamina rate comes down, man, he just becomes a puppy, in my opinion. You can really put a lot of bruising on him. And if his stamina dips too low against Gennady Golovkin, it's going to be night, man. Hey, he's going to take so much damage, Joe. And Gennady Golovkin can hit well to the body also, man. Imagine Gennady Golovkin punches coming at you to the body when you already fucking tired, man. On top of that, you got that extra weight on you. Hey, Canelo is going to be really pushed in stamina in this fight, because if he chooses not to be the aggressor in this fight and fight more so off the back foot, if he don't do the game plan that I'm going to ask and think that he should do, and which is stand his ground, and he tries to go off the back foot, oh my goodness, man, it's going to be very, very detrimental for Canelo Alvarez, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, man. But we're going to get to that next, man. But stamina being the biggest con to me for Canelo, there ain't much on the con side, though, for Canelo Alvarez. You can say recent opposition, nobody that has prepared him for what he's going to see against Gennady Golovkin, possibly. There's been no combination of fighter, in my opinion, that Canelo has fought that's similar to, like, Triple G. This is the reason I even said in the past, and I did the video about, Floyd Mayweather prepared him for the likes of an Erislandy Lara and a Miguel Cotto and guys like that. He was already fully prepared for the Liam Smiths and Gulos of the world, but him fighting these mobile fighters that's going to be moving around on him, he learned how to, employ that into his style by losing to Floyd Mayweather, man. But there ain't nobody that's had the actual combination of a Gennady Golovkin, Joe. And it's like, man, power, relentlessness, going to come forward, willing, possibly hits harder than you. It's going to take a lot to put him down. You're really going to have to work hard to put him down. Just all of that combination at once. Does have boxing ability as well, but it's gonna be interesting to see Canelo more on the defensive in this fight, man. So in this recent opposition, ain't prepared him for that, man, in this upcoming thing. So those really the biggest two cons that I got on Canelo. I ain't got really much, man, because Canelo just is such a Oscar has built him into such more of a complete fighter that there's not much room really for criticism, skill wise and stylistic. I mean, he does so many things well and just a small smidget of things wrong, and that really goes for Gennady Golovkin also, man. And that's what's gonna make this fight the shiznits. You hear me? That's what's gonna make this fight all that. So, the questions and the situation surrounding this fight, things that's going to be coming to play. Will Triple G's recent tough fights be the main thing that really harms him in this fight? Will Triple G's age in combination with the tough fights be a major thing? Is this the reason why Oscar was so adamant on grabbing Gennady Golovkin now? Some say maybe he wanted to grab him before Gennady Golovkin lost, and the fight between him and Canelo was just, the stock of this fight would just drop. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he wanted to grab him, especially how he looked against Daniel Jacobs. Some people say that. And then some people turn around and say, he just hasn't been looking good in these fights, and this is a good time for Canelo to get him while he's just not looking like his best or in his best. Even Gennady Golovkin has said in interviews, I had to look the way I had to look against Daniel Jacobs in order to get the damn Canelo fight, So, maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe, his age, though, is going to it's going to be interesting to see how much of a factor that plays going into this fight. In my opinion, I think Canelo Alvarez should use the Kell Brook game plan to defeat Gennady Golovkin. I think the Kell Brook game plan was working just well. It's just that Kell Brook didn't have the physical attributes, or should I say the size, the natural bone structure, him being a natural middleweight, a much bigger man. He didn't have the physical traits, if you will, to execute properly. And the points where he did execute properly, this is the reason why everybody feels as though Kell Brook gave Gennady Golovkin a hell of a run for his money because of the game plan that he employed. He stood his ground, Joe. He stood there and he told Golovkin, I'm not going to just let you walk through the front door. I'm going to be first. I'm going to attempt to turn you, and I'm going to unload on you, man. I'm not going to just backtrack and run and try to absorb your punches and then block a lot of your punches. No, the traditional way that most fighters face Gennady Golovkin, even Daniel Jacobs in a much bigger form, was forced to fight that way against Gennady Golovkin. I mean, Kell Brook refused to do it. It got his eye socket broken, but he refused to fight that way. And he was being successful, and he was pushing Gennady Golovkin because Gennady Golovkin felt as though, look, you're smaller, so I'm going to exert so much energy in these first 5 rounds. I'm going to unleash monster punches on you. It's even been criticized to say Gennady Golovkin curried Brook for a round or 2. I don't think so. But yeah, Gennady Golovkin was letting a lot of steam out, and his energy levels were draining fast. In that last round, Gennady Golovkin was wheezing hard. In 1 or 2 more rounds, man, of Kell withstanding that attack, if he could have, it would have been interesting to see how the fight would have went, man. But yeah, and still, the Kell Brook plan to me was a beautiful plan, and if he had the physical traits to match it, it would have been to me much more successful. And that is staying your ground, being first, unleashing combinations, turning Gennady Golovkin, making him think more, and not just making him being able to be that one-trick pony and rely mainly on his power, man. And that's what it was coming down to if Kell Brook could have withstood the attack. But I think Canelo Alvarez, with his size, frame, and skill set, if he uses that exact game plan, I think he will be successful against Gennady Golovkin. I think he has the ability to beat Gennady Golovkin if his punch resistance holds up, if his stamina rates holds up, and if he can hold his ground and attempt to put punches and show Gennady Golovkin, I'm not going to just let you come through that front door. Now, as for Gennady Golovkin, if he can go into this fight and start to bully Canelo early, man, and show Canelo who the fuck the real boss is, if he walks into this fight and he's the guy that's going to be doing the roughing up, laying all the power shots, controlling the pace of this fight, if he is going to be the guy, and Canelo is very, very rarely put in that position, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to take Canelo out of his lane, man. And I think Gennady Golovkin will then, if he becomes the bully in this fight, he wins against Canelo Alvarez. The biggest question surrounding this fight is, can Canelo take Gennady Golovkin's punches? It hasn't been seen. We don't know. Canelo ain't Golovkin. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. ain't Golovkin. So can Canelo take the punches of Gennady Golovkin is the golden question. And if the accumulation of Gennady Golovkin's punches start to hurt Canelo early and he starts to bully Canelo, then Gennady Golovkin's gonna win this fight. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, and that's what it's going to come down to. Gennady Golovkin going downstairs, taking that win out of Canelo Alvarez, bullying him, getting him up against the ropes, pushing him around. It's going to be tough to do. And you see with the size of Canelo, he's making it hard to do. But, I mean, that's the golden question. Can Gennady Golovkin do it? And will Canelo allow him to do it? I don't think Canelo's going to really allow him because he's preparing himself not to be that type of fighter. But sometimes you can prepare yourself to not to do that, but then get in there and get hit and then become that. I think a lot of Gennady Golovkin's opponents, none of them wanted to get in there and become that kind of fighter. But they did after they felt what this dude is bringing to the table, man. And that's when people say he's straight up and down those special effects. That's where they're wrong. Because though he may not do a lot of the things that a lot of other fighters do well, there's some things that he does well that the other fighters don't do well. Mainly controlling pace of fights, mainly judging his range at an impeccable rate. He's awesome at judging range. This is the reason he was able to look so beautiful against David Lemieux. I mean, his ability to take these punches, and that takes something deep down within you to be able to eat these punches the way Golovkin does. So, these are the things that he does very well that a lot of other fighters don't do, and that's why it's like confusing in a way when it comes to Golovkin. Like, he's straight up and down. He ain't the most skilled. He can be hit. What the fuck? I can beat him, but Can you judge the distance of your punches like he does? Can you feel the whole full momentum can you let fighters feel the whole momentum of your punches like Gennady Golovkin do? Get full extension on his punches like he does. Can you do that? That is the golden question. And if you can't do that, those are the things he does better than anybody. So if he does these things, man, I think he beats Canelo Alvarez, man. So it's time for a prediction, right? Main man, shut the fuck up. You've been talking too goddamn long. This has got almost a half an hour video out of your mind. But this is a big fight, y'all. So, in my opinion, the winner of this fight, and man, I think and this is controversial as it may seem, I think the winner of this fight will deserve to be Gennady Golovkin. I think Gennady Golovkin will go in there and do everything he needs to do, execute the game plan, become the bigger man, outbully Canelo. And I think he puts Canelo on the defensive. And I think Canelo, like I said, he's not the A+ Canelo when he fights from that posture and that manner. But I don't think Gennady Golovkin will have the ability to stop Canelo, because the one thing that Canelo was learning, I think, that he took from the Daniel Jacobs fight is, I'm going to come into this fight big and solid. You know what I mean? And that's the way that's the biggest I've ever seen Daniel Jacobs come into a fight. And Gennady Golovkin wasn't able to stop him. And I think Canelo is going to take that away from the Daniel Jacobs fight. But I think the judges and the star power and the machine, I think, and I hate that it's even really predicted in this manner, but if this fight goes to a decision, it's hard to see them giving this thing to Golovkin. I truly think so, but this is a tough prediction, man. It's when you have that factor at play, it's just hard to want to give it. I want to give it to Gennady Golovkin. I think Gennady Golovkin is going to defeat. I'm gonna just rock with it. I think Gennady Golovkin is going to defeat Canelo Alvarez. I think he's going to have to stop Canelo. And I know this is a long shot. Bettors, close your ears. Just know that the machine, the movement, the money is on the side of Canelo Alvarez. But I think the ability, the game plan, the preparedness is on the side of Gennady Golovkin. So I'm going to rock with Gennady Golovkin to win this fight. Ever since I've been talking about this fight from day one, I've always been trying to look for ways where Canelo outbeats Gennady Golovkin and what areas. And it's like, I can't come up with much, at least not strong enough to say that that's good enough to beat Golovkin. You know, and then on top of that, the consistency of fighting bigger men. So the size of Canelo will be minimized in that aspect of me. Also, Canelo, I don't know if he's going to do this IBF same day weigh-in thing or not, but if he doesn't rehydrate beyond that 10 pounds the morning of the fight, that could be good. You know what I'm saying? In the favor of Gennady Golovkin. And this is what I'm saying. And I think Canelo is a very skilled fighter. This is no detriment to him. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be a very close fight. But I'm going to give it to Gennady Golovkin by unanimous decision. I want to say stoppage, but I just think Canelo is just building himself like a tank that's not to be stopped. And then he has a good chin. I think Gennady Golovkin takes over this fight mid rounds to late rounds. He starts to wear down Canelo Alvarez with his relentless coming forwardness, attack, and putting Canelo on the back foot and making him start to become somebody he's not. And especially with Canelo talking about the Mexican style and incorporating more things. I'm not saying he can't do this thing successfully, but to test these things out on Gennady Golovkin, or maybe he's been doing it against a lot of the Amir Khans and the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who was a crash dummy. But yeah, man, I think Triple G makes Canelo very uncomfortable and takes him out of his lane. And not to mention Triple G is him and Canelo have sparred in the past. He knows him very well. They know each other possibly very well. But each man has gotten possibly better since that sparring match. And it was sparring, so, you know. But I'm going to rock with Gennady Golovkin. Unanimous decision. I'm going to call it roughly about a 7 rounds to 5 in favor of Gennady Golovkin. Possibly even a knockdown involved in this fight. But I'm going to rock right there. And hey, if Canelo wins, I'm wrong here. I understand, especially if he goes to the cards. We already got to keep our third eye open for we're looking for, you know, we're going to look for that robbery, man. Real shit. And I will call that shit out in my post-fight video if I see that. Fuck that. So to the next video, Main Man Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Twitter, Made Man 511. Facebook, Main Man Made Man Boxing Forum. Google Plus, Main Man Made Man. Sorry to hold y'all so long. If you rock with me from the beginning to the end here, you'll see that there ain't a zillion ads in this shit, man. I appreciate that shit, man. I thank y'all for rocking with me in this whole video. It's been long as fuck. I will have the number to where the actual prediction comes in the comment section, so be looking out for that too, man. But yeah, man, big fight. This is going to determine so much in the sport of boxing. Pound for pound wise, this is going to determine so much in the sport of boxing at the middleweight division, and just the legacy of these two men. This is going to be a fight that we're going to all look back on 10 years from now and say, damn, what a fucking fight. Hats off to everybody involved, from Oscar to K2 to Loeffler, all of them, man. Everybody who came together and brought this thing together, HBO, man, this shit gonna be huge, man. And this thing is something that we've all been waiting for. We got it. So to the next video, don't forget to subscribe. Peace out.